Part 2 of the blood sugar lead breakdown. In this part, I'm going to discuss all of the post-processing. So for the processing, there ended up being quite a lot, way more than I had originally intended. But this was just because it needed so much fine-tuning. A lot of this, especially this first patcher instance, could have been done inside the synth itself. But because I wanted the serum and the massive to be run through the exact same processing, I had to do it all post rather than within the synth. The only thing that's happening inside both synths is a little bit of EQ. The main thing is that the highs are being taken right down in both using a high shelf. Because the idea is that you remove those harsh digital high-end harmonics and then replace it when you redistort. First, processing here. An OTT, bit of EQ. So usually I'll process it, then I'll EQ it, then I'll process it again, and then that will need another EQ after. A serum effect, just providing the chorus, adding a bit more modulation, making it sound thicker. A decapitator, driven quite heavily. This is where we're starting to add in those higher harmonics again through distortion. A trash, which is only using the convolve setting. So what a convolve or a convolution does is it takes an impulse or a recording of a real space, uses that recording to simulate the sound that you're putting through the convolution going through that real space. So often this can be done with rooms or halls to make it sound like the instrument is in that space where the impulse was taken, but it can also be done with things like amps. So running a synth only very slightly through a convolution makes it sound like it's being slightly driven through an amp, which again gives it a bit more of an analog feel, makes it sound slightly less, it's straight out of the box. Then running through a clipper. So this was the first level of processing that I did, and at this point it sounded like this. Still not really there yet. There's a bit of EQ to clean it up and boost those highs. Some multiband saturation, nothing on the low end. About 500 hertz, you've got some gentle saturation. There's a really short, consistent delay, really short time, 6.6 milliseconds, and a very short feedback. This is almost a similar idea to a chorus. It's just making the sound a bit thicker. Everything up to this point would have been rendered out, and all of these things are left on with for just the audio. Final EQ to help it sit properly in the mix. So saying that, there's another patcher here. Chorus, more EQ, compression, and some more delay. This one, the slightly longer time. And a filter, which is automated, don't have to worry about that. Another delay, which is automated, don't have to worry about that. Then some reverb, putting it into a space. This makes it much bigger, obviously. And then another one. So I've got two reverbs here for like different sections of the track. One where I wanted a heavy amount of reverb at 100%, and then one only at 32%. These are automated alternatively to each other. So when one's on, the other's off. And yeah, altogether it sounds like this. So I know this isn't exactly the way they would have made it originally. It would have been all like analog hardware and that, but this is the best I can do with what I've got. And also most people don't have like thousands of pounds of analog equipment. Most. And it's such a simple sounding concept, like it's just a detuned saw wave with a bit of vibrato, but it's all the specific nuances of the sound that meant it needed so much processing. Like and follow for more, and let me know in the comments what you'd like to see next.